So you buy a smart plug, a sensor, or maybe even a smart security camera, and everything works great. It's easy to use and exactly as you need. And before too long, you start relying upon it, building it into your smart home with awesome automations. Then suddenly one day you get the message, device offline, app no longer supported, or worse still, please subscribe to continue using this product that you've already paid for. Over the last few years, more and more smart devices are being made dumb, not because they broke, but because the company behind them either just walked away, or cloud services shut down, or features were locked behind subscriptions. In this video, I'll walk you through just some of the brands that have pulled the plug, why this keeps happening, and how you can protect your smart home setup using something such as Home Assistant. So let's get into it. Hey everyone, my name's Simon and welcome to Bite of Geek, where I focus on Home Assistant and smart home technology. So something has been worrying me recently. There's been a growing list of smart home companies who've either shut down devices, killed cloud services, or started charging you just to keep things running in your smart home. We're not talking little startups here, your obscure names. These are major brands that many of us will recognize. Now, a few people asked me recently, why should I use Home Assistant? What I have already works perfectly fine. I don't see the advantage of it. And on the face of it, that may well be the case. However, it may not always be like that in the future, and as a consumer you could stand to lose a lot of money invested in your smart home. So how is that the case then? I've already bought the product, surely I can continue using it. Well, this isn't an exhaustive list, but this is just some of the products or services that have effectively shut down over the last few years. Instium was a popular smart device manufacturer offering quite a product range. However, in 2022, they disappeared overnight. And unless you had migrated to Home Assistant or Habitat, then your smart home immediately stopped being smart. They've subsequently returned, rebranding and with a new website and a commitment to smart home innovation. When the company disappears, however, it's a prime example of how your smart home investment could be wiped out, leaving you scrambling to find an alternate solution. Now, many will know that Google has a colourful history of killing off products. Just visit the Killed by Google website to see the vast list of projects they've introduced and subsequently killed, leaving users looking elsewhere. However, in August 2023, Google decided to shut down its IoT core, and whilst this wasn't a flashy consumer product, it was, however, a critical back end that many smart devices relied on to function. With it gone, manufacturers either had to scramble to migrate to something else, or quietly they let their devices die. Now, those users in the UK may know of Hive. It's a company owned by British Gas and quickly went from offering a smart thermostat to having numerous sensors as well. In September 2023, however, they just decided they would stop supporting some of their smart sensors, which, being cloud enabled, meant they were effectively defunct and users were left with nothing but a voucher for the inconvenience. Gigaset Germany filed for insolvency, and in March 2024 they shuttered all of their servers controlling a range of smart home cameras, door sensors, alarms, all kinds of devices, and these all relied upon the Gigaset cloud platform, and with the servers turned off, the devices were rendered useless. If you invested in Nest's security system, which many people did, well, sadly now it's a pile of useless plastic, as Google pulled the plug in April 2024 and no migration path has been offered. In June 2024, Yale decided that certain features of its products would be quietly pushed behind a subscription model, leaving users with basic functionality. And in one of the most recent announcements, Belkin has informed users of its Wemo devices that those it considers to be legacy, regardless of whether you still use them or not, will in January 2026 lose app support. They'll get No more updates, they'll have no access to cloud services, and they'll have no voice integration. So now they'll just effectively become e-waste. Of course, once you're paying that subscription fee, then it seems there's no limit to the amount brands will keep taking from you. Nest again showing that even though you've bought the product outright, you should only get the very basic functionality, and anything that is more useful, and let's face it, likely to be the functionality that people bought the device for in the first place, is now having its subscription fee increased. So why is this happening? Well, there are likely to be several reasons why we're saying this. Cloud services cost money, and every time a device pings a cloud server with a request, that's a bill for the company. If you multiply that by millions of users, then it soon adds up, and unless they can charge you, they probably can't sustain it, not for the long term at least. So ultimately, they must make the decision to fail or charge a subscription. In some cases, brands just collapse or take the decision to exit that area of the market completely, likely due to poor sales. Brands like Gigaset went under, whilst the likes of Hive decided that Smarthome just isn't profitable enough, and they quietly backed away. When this happens, it's usually at short notice, almost certainly with no migration plan, and in some cases, no warning. Quite possibly one of the worst things that we are starting to see, and this is happening in other sectors as well, is the bait and switch. You buy your new smart device, use it for a period of time, and then find out all the useful functionality and the new features are going to be locked behind a subscription. There's nothing wrong with your device, but ultimately to continue to use it to its full potential, you'll end up paying the cost of it many times over to continue to use it. And smart home brands, certainly the bigger ones, don't seem to have any problem in fighting legal battles to prevent users from accessing their services via alternate means. Hey, the big appliance maker sent cease and desist letters to open source projects trying to support their devices after they shut down official APIs. Likewise, Mazda took legal action to stop enthusiasts from integrating their connected car systems with third-party platforms. This kind of legal pressure makes it even harder for users to keep control of their devices once the company pulls support. Now, to add to this, here's a real-world example that shows just how bad it can get. Louis Rossmann, he's a well-known tech repair advocate, and he's recently covered a smart home company called Future Home. If you've not seen his video, I thoroughly recommend you go watch it. I'll put a link to it in the description of this video. So after Future Home went bankrupt, the new owner basically held users' devices hostage, locking down firmware and demanding ransom payments just to regain control. Rossmann calls this a nightmare scenario and a warning for all of us. It's this kind of corporate bait and switch which makes local control matter more than ever. If your devices rely upon company servers or remotely controlled firmware updates, you could suddenly lose access to those and even to the devices you already own. So what do you do? How do you avoid buying future e-waste? How do you make your home actually smart and reliable? Well, that comes down to one word, and that is local. Use something like Home Assistant as the backbone of a real smart home, running on your own hardware, whether that's a mini PC, a Raspberry Pi, old laptop, whatever. At the end of the day, it's your machine. You can touch it. It's not somewhere located who knows where. With local control, your devices and automations will work even if your internet connection is down or the manufacturer behind those devices disappears. Protocols like Zigbee, Z-Wave, Matter are all designed for local use. These devices don't need cloud servers to function, and Home Assistant has great support for them. Home Assistant supports more integrations than I can count and can even rescue abandoned devices and keep them useful. Think about the devices you're buying. If it's a smart plug and it requires a cloud account just to turn it on or off, then maybe you should actually give it a miss. It could be working now, but what might happen down the line? See if your device has open APIs. Are they works with Home Assistant certified? If the manufacturer disappeared, then maybe you could use those, or perhaps someone in the community has written a custom integration already to allow you to continue to use the device. As for the subscriptions, well, the ultimate option is for consumers to not buy devices from those brands that continue to do this to us. After all, money talks. It's one thing stating a device has a subscription at the outset, but it's completely different to introduce it later on. At the end of the day, you want a device that continues to work, especially when it comes to things like switches, plugs and bulbs. These are all the core devices in your smart home, and you should be able to continue to use them with or without the manufacturer's permission. So there you go. If your smart home depends on someone else's server, then it's only smart for as long as they allow it. However, there are better options, and you can use platforms like Home Assistant that allow you to do this day in, day out. Let me know in the comments what device or brand has let you down, and if you've enjoyed this video, then hit the like and subscribe button. It really does help YouTube's algorithm and lets others get to see this video. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.